Hello, how are everyone? Anyway, I just wanted to make a quick little video. Not that anybody's going to watch it, but it's here if anybody wants to see it. I decided to start making knives, just kind of a hobby. Wanted to see if I could do it, and this is my experience so far. I made 3. This is my first one right here. It looks like total garbage. Try to temper the blade. I literally used some screws and ground them down as the pins. With just some wood, scrap pieces of wood I had laying around. The blade is made out of an old blade similar to that, a circular saw blade. It was this one's a bigger one, but that's what I started with. I didn't have a belt sander at the time, anything like that, and it kind of shows. I made some big mistakes with this one when I first started making it, but this is the first one. Believe it or not, this thing has a razor sharp edge on it. It is ugly as can be. That's because I used an angle grinder, my angle grinder, not only to cut it out, but I thought, well, I'll hit it and kind of grind down the blade, and you can see all those marks in it. You can also see where I attempted to temper the blade, but I'd already put the handle on it. Yeah, so most people say it looks like an oyster knife. That's because literally the way I did it was I grabbed a kitchen knife of my wife's and I laid it down on the blade and I kind of drew around it and said, okay, I'm going to make that knife kind of. And that's what I did. And that's what it turned out looking like. Like I said, it looks horrible, but it does function as a knife. I don't know all y'all out there that are smarter than me and with the metals and so that I don't know how that's going to affect the strength of this thing, whether it's going to make it really weak right there or what. As you can see, the coloration, I didn't even bother trying to take it all off. I did kind of sand the blade down and get all the scale off of it, but it does got a nice edge on it. It will shave, believe it or not. So that was the first one. This was my second one. It isn't awesome. It's made of the same circular saw blade as this one. I even made a wooden sheath for it. Now this one we actually have used in the kitchen, and you'll see what that kind of has done to the blade. I mean, it's not a stainless blade. I mean, it's just, like I said, a circular saw blade. But this is the blade. It was nice and shiny. It has some discoloration to it now from, I guess, acids and food, the different vegetables and stuff like that, because it did work really good as a, chopping of vegetables. Just wanted to give it a shot doing that. This was the second knife I made. Still not a really pretty knife, but it turned out a lot better than the first one, I think. Anyway, the tip, it's a very sharp knife. It does have kind of a step down. I don't know if I can show you on here on the blade. Right about there. I don't know if you can see it, which is an issue. For sharpening, that is. Didn't really polish the blade a lot. You can still see a lot of the marks in it, but it does work very well as a kitchen knife. It's a better kitchen knife than a lot of the ones my wife has now. Made a little wooden sheath out of the same wood I made this out of. And it's just glued together. Put my initials in there. Didn't really know what I was doing, you know, what I'm going to do with the knife. I just wanted to make a sheath for it. So I did. That's the second one. This is number 3. It is actually made out of a flat bar. So it was a little bit better metal. The handle is painted with a translucent, it's all kind of a hardwood cherry. I went back and forth with painting it or not painting it. I did paint it and then put a coat of polyurethane on it. Just wanted to see what the handle would look like when it was all said and done with. One of the pins is kind of broke back here. So it has a little hole in it. I was going to fill it in with epoxy. I epoxied the blade and everything together. The handle to the blade. Has my fingerprints on it. But it's a huge difference between this one and this one. This one looks much better. It's a much better blade. Very sharp. I still need to do some refinement on the sharpening and stuff like that. You see, of course, the thickness of this blade versus this one. So, but the point of this video is with just a few tools, I started off making this. I didn't even have a belt sander when I made this knife or this one. I got a belt sander, and this was the first one I made using the belt sander. I was actually able to, you know, get the bevel on there and all that. It is a simple Harbor Freight belt sander that I got with a coupon for $60, and it works great. All the tools I have are somewhat, you know, cheap. I got a $10 angle grinder, and that's what kind of sparked it all off. And a few tools. So the point is if you want to make a knife, you want to get into knife making, it's really not that bad. It's not that expensive. I think anybody can do it. And if you've got the desire to. This by far will not be the last knife I make. I'm already thinking about another project. My grandfather actually started, it was my grandfather that had made knives for me and my brothers and my dad. And I still have, you know, those knives, my knife and the one that he made for my father. And I wanted to see if I could do it as well, so that maybe I could make some knives and, you know, give them to my kids and stuff like that. So this is my experience with making knives. Let me know what y'all think. Don't be too harsh. Remember, this is a hobby, and I am far from a professional. Thank you. Y'all have a great one.